Kia ora, Mua, thanks for your time. Now, tell me something about what's your views on the latest of the TPPA saga?
The TPPA is undemocratic. It breaks a lot of international rules about accountability, transparency. It's about taking away the rights of the majority of the people, but the TPPA is for the rich and for a minority. It's geared towards being profit motivated, and yet as information has become available, and even the way they've set up the TPPA, where only a few people can be engaged, only a few people can take part. So that already tells you that that is not a healthy democratic process. It's not out in the open, it's not everyone being consulted, it's not about letting people be aware that your sovereignty as a nation, your citizenship, your children and your future generations' futures have been put at risk because we're now going to have our government answerable to corporates. And I don't think that's on. I think that's illegal. I think that's not human. I don't think that's just. The TPPA is gunboat diplomacy. When America went into Japan, 19th century, with their gunboats and told Japan, you either trade with us or we can blow you out of the water. Well, guess what? This is the same thing. We're in a cultural, historical, political context of how is America, how is the so-called world, first world, responding to a vibrant, strong Chinese market in its presence in our South Pacific and globally. Globalization is robbery, is taking away from the poor, is increasing, and and as Oxfam pointed out, when 60 people own half of the wealth in this universe or in our planet, you've got to ask fundamental questions. And so for me, as a Pacific Island educator, community worker, minister, when looking at how do I serve our people and how do we protect the rights of our people, the resources, the environments, the housing, the future of our children, grandchildren, then TPPA becomes a threat to our people. When we look at it in terms of First Nations, Indigenous people, tangata whenua, the Treaty of Waitangi, it becomes obvious to me this will undermine the position of tangata whenua. You haven't done your Treaty of Waitangi negotiations, and I think now the penny drops when people were hearing when John Key was asking to have all the treaty things done within a set time. Hello, people, so that he could go into this TPPA saying that he had met those criterias. You haven't. It's immoral. It's wrong. The country should have participated in looking at the whole thing. The country, we're spending, $5 million on a flag. That's a disgrace. When we should have spent that $5 million to be able to let the country have its voice, be a truly democratic nation, and should have been given the right to participate and to discuss the issues, the implications, and how do we move forward as an informed, inclusive society that wants to work in a global setting, understanding its role and its humanity. And so as a Pacific Island community worker, I want to say very disappointed with our government, very disappointed that the TPPA means more suffering for the poor. It means that for those of us who work with our Māori and Pasifika communities, once again we're going to have to go, it's not going to be just off the cliff trying to get the stuff. It's worse. You are disempowering social policies. You are disempowering funds available to the people to have access to fundamentals of housing, employment, health. And then health, the drugs, the dying people. This is TPPA at its worst.